Welcome to everyone joining me today. Let us start by opening our Bibles to Mark chapter 12. We will begin in verse 41. And Jesus sat over against the treasury, and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. And he called unto him his disciples, and saith unto them, Verily I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. If you think about in church how you sit and there's an offering time, usually music plays and a plate or basket is passed between the people. This is not how it was in Jesus' day. There was a central offering place where people would go to then put in their offering. And Jesus sat with his disciples and watched this play out, all the people taking their offerings to put in, especially the rich with all the money they could put in. However, he points the attention for us and his disciples to a poor widow, maybe hunched over in her age, moving slow. You could barely see that she put anything in, and then she walks away. She would be nearly invisible to anyone there, but Jesus points her out especially. Now, people who are rich could put in lots of money. They could make a great show about it and look very proud in front of people, and yet they may not be putting in very much. Jesus said here it was in their abundance. Perhaps they gave 5% or even 10%. We don't know. But he said of their abundance. They paid for their bills, for their groceries, for anything else that they needed, and then they put whatever they wanted into the treasury, whatever would seem sufficient to them. It didn't hurt them or make them rely on God very much. But this widow had only 2 mites. Now, if you pause the video here and go get a quarter, especially if your parents have one, borrow one from them and come back and look at that quarter. You have it? Okay, so this is a mite, and this is what it would look like against a quarter. These were very small, thin coins, not at all big, and their size reflected their value. They were not worth much. Matthew Poole did the math in figuring out the value. 1 denarius is a day's work for the common man. But 2 mites only make up 1% of a denarius, of a day's work. It would take 192 mites to equal 1 denarius. So here is this widow with 2 mites, 1% of a day's wages, and yet Jesus says that was all her living. There were the rich who put in a lot more, but they put it in of whatever extra they had left over. She had needs of her want. Not just whatever play she might want to go to or musicians she'd want to hire for the evening to entertain her friends. She had needs, either food or shelter. Maybe she needed a new coat or shoes. But she had a need, and she sacrificed something to give everything to God, 100% of what she had. She didn't even keep one of the mites. She gave it all to God. God is not looking at the amount that we give. He is looking at the heart of the giver. Are we holding something back from God? Do we give only of the spare minutes we have in between what we want to do? It's not just our money that we give to God, whether it be a quarter or a dollar. It's also our time, our energy, the words we say to other people, the thoughts that we think. How much of that are we giving to God? are we allowing to be used to please and honor God? How much are we using for ourselves, to puff ourselves up and make ourselves known and honored? God doesn't just want a large amount of money. He wants us. He wants our willingness to give to Him. Now, yes, you can do a lot with a lot of money, but this widow had what the rich man didn't. She had a trust and reliance on God, while the rich didn't need God to cover for him. This widow needed God to fulfill some of her needs. When we give to God out of our sacrifices, out of something that we might want to do instead, God will reward us, and He will fulfill our needs. So let us give God everything we have, everything we can. I don't mean go penniless, give all your money away, provide for your needs, but give your life to God. So I thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. Goodbye.